Hi everyone, I'm Jeff. I'm back to do some more 31 Days of Tarot. Now, this video for sure, I'll be able to click through a few of them because I thought maybe we'd be doing 4 or 5 days in the one in the last video. But as you can tell, I just kept on talking. So I realize that there's no hurry for this, but whenever you hear my pace getting faster, that just means because I'm getting excited about what I'm talking about. So let's just get on to number 2. It doesn't say day number 2, which I'm taking as a good sign that you can group these together. But number 2, top 5 tarot decks of 2017 is ones you purchased. I did purchase a few tarot decks. Not a few, I purchased a couple tarot decks. But I got to tell you, I always go back to my Rider-Waite. The very first deck that I got back in, I think, February 1997. And we'll talk about why that deck is so important for me later. But I did purchase a deck that was really interesting to me. It's actually called the Tarot of the New Vision. This is actually the box. I still have the box. And what's cool about this, and this has a very special meaning using these decks whenever I read for myself, is that because whenever I read for other people, the writer I just have associated with reading that for other people. This Tarot of the New Vision is pretty much the same Rider deck, but it's viewed from the opposite side. The artwork is not facing the whatever image you're used to seeing with the riders, but it's from behind that what that image is actually looking at. And I think it adds wonderful insights, and I'll be talking in a little bit about how this helped save me, this particular, not this card, but this deck, how it saved me from being haunted by this same damn card. I think they called it the Stalker. What was the Stalker card for you last year? Well, I was getting it a lot, and it was because I whipped out this deck that was so helpful. This is the Hanged Man. Let's just talk about this just for a second and how this deck is so helpful. I just think it adds wonderful insights depending on how you interpret the Hanged Man. I certainly do, is just having patience and just having allowance and having the sacrifice of doing anything just allow this wheel of fortune to turn so that you can have the events be shaped for you. It's just being still, being confident. It's right above the sun whenever you arrange it the way that I do, so you're enlightened by that happy joy energy, and you can kind of see how society is down there just sort of jeering you on. These are the influences around you just sort of giving you shit for just trusting yourself, just being that wonderful hanged character with that wonderful sense of enlightenment on his face whenever you can imagine the opposite, the Rider-Waite image of this. And this is why I like this deck so much. This is probably of all the decks that I have, and there's only a few of them, this is what I use whenever I read for myself more than the regular Rider-Waite. It's been very, very helpful. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. So my top 5 tarot decks, really, it's that deck. I have a few other ones that I've purchased, but I don't really use because they don't really speak to me. What's this one called? The Good Tarot deck. It has some really cool imagery. You know, when I do self-meditative work, I tend to pull this out because then I can kind of get lost in the images more. It is a wonderful little, it's something different, it's something nice. When I'm just trying to get to the point in a reading, I don't have time to just let all of these figures talk to me, especially whenever I'm in a session and someone just wants to know what is happening, what is so about this particular situation. What other decks do I use? Really, I got this Medieval Cat Tarot just because I did a cat event, and this was a kind of a cool deck. I really only used it once, but there was a lot of translation involved as far as thinking of the card. It's like the Knight of Cups, and then in your mind, in my mind at least, I take it back to the writer, and then you sort of infer, and then you can compare what this has with the writer, and then you can kind of go from there. Then at that point, you get out of the way, and I just found it being a challenge rather than just looking at this, translating it to what I'm so familiar with working, and then getting out of the way. This was just for a cool event. It was all very cat-based. And, I mean, every card, like this wonderful 5 of Cups, is all about that. But it's hard to read. The Roman numerals for the 5 is low. And if you don't want to count the cups, if you're not familiar with them, it can be a little bit of a hassle. What other tarot decks that I have? John Holland, I had the pleasure of hearing him speak in Australia when I I lived there for a brief time, and he has just a nice interpretation, pretty much of the 78 card deck, although he doesn't include anything to represent the court cards. But like, I mean, this is the Magician, the Awareness card. This is a Hay House brand, you know, if you're familiar with the Hay House or anything that was ever sold at the Bodhi Tree, pretty much in the West Hollywood area of Los Angeles. You know, Temptation, the Devil. That's pretty much how I interpret, you know, the Devil, those things that don't serve you. It's just really great images. I have used this deck on really only a couple times in the past year on people that were very kind of freaked out, really, with the Rider-Waite imagery, that medieval type of look of the traditional cards. And I just saw them tensing up whenever they, you know, saw the cards. And I said, how about we do something with a little something more visually pleasing for you? And they didn't even know what that meant until I pulled out these cards. And yeah, so, I mean, there we go. I mean, here's the Three of Cups. And it makes it easier for them because they can understand consciously, what's that say, rejoice in celebration. Okay, that's the most shallow sort of interpretation of the Three of Cups, but for them it gave them something to digest rather than saying three characters hold cups, and it's kind of really kind of foreign, I guess, to some people. So those are my tarot decks that I use. I mean, I said it in my last video, I've been so inspired by just how many decks people are buying and willing to share online. I saw one really cool ghost one that I'm really, really interested in. I did buy, actually in the past week, I've bought more decks than I have in the past 20 years that I've been reading tarot. And it's because of you guys on the internet. It's because of you guys showing me all these really cool decks. I got this crazy thing right here. This is a Golden Thread. I love everything black. Black motorcycles, black hot rods, and this deck is just matte black. It's really cool. I know this isn't an unboxing video, and we can kind of pretend I bought this last year, even though it was just a couple weeks ago, really. And I just love the imagery, and it sort of has the Rider type of vibe to it. I get a feeling that when I branch off more into using different decks, then I'm going to be pulling out this black deck here. I'll show you the other new decks that I got, but as far as the ones that I use, that's really, really it, man. I use my Riders for my clients, and I use this Tarot of the New Vision, this reversed. I mean, we can kind of go on and on and on about this. You know, this is what's on the other side of the Seven of Cups. I got a great story. We're going to talk about that in a few minutes. So those are my tarot decks. That's under two. Three's the Oracle decks. I have one Oracle deck that I really kind of got into just pulling one card a day, but then before you know it, I just kind of got into just pulling a whole bunch of cards and reading my Oracle decks as if they were tarot cards. The one that I used really a number of years ago, and I know I had it on the table here just a minute ago, of course, is the Healing with the Angels Oracle cards. Probably a classic. Maybe this is probably one of the first ones that most people have had. This is a Barnes & Noble type of thing, and you see these pretty much everywhere. And yeah, I mean, you can allow your, you know, you can kind of get out of your way and really get some new information from these cards. And whenever you see 2 come out or 3 come out and who's on top, what's on the right, and all these other things, you can kind of, I've gotten really great value out of these. These are purely for personal readings and for quick inspirations. You know, I need some quick something, just get me going today. What's one thing I need to sort of keep in mind it's going to serve me the most? And I'll pull out this card, although it's been a couple months since I've whipped these out. My wife and I actually had these at our wedding day. We had one of these. We got a bunch of these decks, and everyone at the reception outside had one on their place setting. And there was one part of the ceremony where everyone was instructed to just hold one card and then just sort of embody and feel and just sort of push out that vibe of whatever that card was, you know, to the new couple. And that was really, really cool. I mean, this is ideas, inspiration always comes up at the right time. That's as far as I go with Oracle decks. I'm actually I'm in the process of releasing a book where I use the Rider-Waite imagery as Oracle cards, where it tells the entire story and then you reverse it, and it always has the most loving guidance, support, and wisdom of that particular card. And so I'll be talking about that later. But that's not the point. The point is that's my tarot, and that is my Oracle deck, what I've been sort of getting into the last, you know, a couple decades. What's next? The card that stalked you in 2017. This is where the great story is, why I now value this new tarot, that reversal deck comes in, because without question, it was the Four of Cups. And I thought I had it out here for those of you. Oh man, don't let me have to hit pause on this. I want to be able to find this card. Ooh, this is gonna bug me. I thought I was all ready to do this video. Where's the Four of Cups so I can show everybody? Oh shit, I'm gonna have to hit pause and I'm gonna have to go back into what I was. Here it is right here. Woof. Okay. This card right here was my stalker last year, all the way until like September, to the very, very end of the year. Because as I said in my last video, I've been sort of gearing up to get into some new stuff in this particular 2018. And this card would flip out of the deck. It would fall on the floor. It would hit me in the face. Anytime I said, give me one card, what the hell is going on with me and kind of where I want to go, I would get this card. And as it clearly illustrates, it's involving the emotions and all this stuff about something that I'm missing. There's something that I'm missing that's actively being presented to me. Those of you who don't know me, I'm all about right and left-handedness with the tarot, and you see that beautiful gift being offered with the right hand, which means it is right now before you, but you're just not seeing it. You're just seeing what's working. You're seeing what's absolutely fine and still and all this stuff in front of you, but there's something right there that is just, you're just missing, that's going to answer that question for you. And that used to frustrate the living day crap out of me, because I would get it all the time and I just couldn't figure it out. Until I pulled out this wonderful deck, this Tarot of the New Vision. And I said, just give me one card that's going to help clarify why I keep getting this damn Four of Cups. And this is a true story, cross my heart. The Four of Cups came up, but look how it comes up in this particular thing right there. Now, this is really before I started using this deck for really myself, as opposed to reading for somebody else. And it makes sense to use this deck for yourself, because it's kind of like you're using the imagery, but you're looking back not only out from the imagery to the other side, but because you're reading for really you, it just gives you that little extra added perception, or perspective, I guess is probably the better word. But look what's magical about this card compared with the Rider-Waite. From what's being missed is that it's like a Pegasus particular character. And what I wasn't noticing was this inspiration that I was needing to get me sort of out of the vibe where I was in, where I was missing this thing, this idea really is what it was that I couldn't reach, because I was just so busy sort of making sure that everything that I already had in place was going to stay in place. And when I got this card, intuition came right in and just said, Jeff, you got to get yourself to a higher vibration. You got to see this inspiration, get more in spirit, so it's going to catch your attention, just like this Pegasus does. So it makes you look up and you begin to see what this thing is being offered to you. Now, a little bit of a backstory on me. I love motorcycles. I have a Harley Davidson, what I just think is the most beautiful thing in the world. It's a matte black Harley Davidson. Very much why I love this matte black deck. Everything black I just find beautiful. Look at the black binding on this thing. It's magnificent. So at this point, it was months since I've been on my motorcycle, and because I've been so inundated and worried and concerned and putting my energies and efforts into just keeping what I was creating stable and safe, got this beautiful new office. I wanted to make sure that the clients were regular and blah, 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 blah. But I was missing that extra piece that was going to catch my attention, to be able to see what was being offered to me, this idea that I was so badly looking for, but I didn't know that I was even missing because I was so busy looking at what I had. I got on the motorcycle because I viewed this as just find the inspiration. So I dug out the bike, I pulled out the cover, made sure it was all working order, the tires were low because it's been so long since so I made sure, and I took a day and I rode up the coast, and it was the most uncomfortable. It was very uncomfortable at first. But then once I sort of got into being on my bike again with the breeze and the ocean, it was chilly, it was fantastic, it was the most wonderful day. It came in and clicked for me, the inspiration. It brought me up to the vibration, to the frequency where I could see what this card was telling me, what I was missing for months, because I was so busy concerned with what was. I wasn't trying to be inspired to see what I was going to then create. So the secrets on what is now in the works for me, you probably don't even care. You just met me, but I'm going to be relating to those as those foundation pieces start to get more and more in place for me. But that's why this deck, and I encourage everyone to just, if they're looking for a little bit of inspiration, and if you like the Rider-Waite imagery, just see what, just see, I mean, this is the card I just put, this is like the Fool character, and it gives you a reminder to have that unbelievable optimism, because where you're going, man, is a dangerous ass place. You have a new idea, a new inspiration you want to follow up on. This fire, exploding stuff is not something you see from the regular card, but it's to remind you to just hold on to your white rose of, faith and hope and positive expectation and passion and all these things, regardless of what you actually see down there. So, I mean, I could just go on about how this deck has helped me. I mean, some cards, it's very much the similar. But as far as tying that into the card that stalked me, that damn Four of Cups was clarified to just say, I got to tune up my own frequency to be able to see this idea that I had to get to. So anyway, I hope that made sense. Thank you for watching. This is 15 minutes long. It took me forever to upload that last video of 16 minutes. So let me just cut this off. Thank you so much. And I look forward to watching your videos too. Bye.